Okay, welcome back from lunch. Hopefully everyone feels fortified. I was able to use the restroom, so that was good sign. Okay, so we heard a lot about partnerships in the morning, and my colleague in the PAWR project office, Professor Kaushik Chowdhury, and I are going to try to put a little bit of a finer point on it. We're going to describe these partnerships and how we sort of perceive them and the contributions that the PAWR project office can make to the development of effective partnerships. All right, so I thought the right place to start would be to highlight the language from the RFP that relates to partnerships, particularly those partnerships with local communities and community engagement. And the three words I see, that I've highlighted there in bold, really are collaboration, and that third bullet, of course, is sustainable. So we see these partnerships being opportunities for the proposers really to support the case for sustainability. We think that these partnerships are going to play a large role in helping you all convince the expert reviewers that you can do this, that you will be successful in deploying these proposed platforms. So they are sort of at the foundation of your case, your story as a proposer, these partnerships right at the center of it. So in the broad strokes, we think the academic institutions are going to be contributing know-how, expertise, experience related to wireless research networks. And we think that the communities, the nonprofits, the local governments are going to be contributing expertise and experience and outreach into stakeholder engagement, and quite potentially in terms of sustainability, insofar as these platforms become part of economic development initiatives within a region, insofar as they become part of other municipal roles and tasks, then you have obviously a basis for sustainability for that case to be made. Just to make sure that we're all talking about the same thing, in presentations that we at the PAWR Project Office give to an audience that's not as well educated as you all, we try to start with, well, what's in it for the participants? Why would they apply for this? And from an academic's perspective, we think, these are unique opportunities for an at-scale wireless research platform. There's opportunities, we think, and I think Thiaga and others have identified this, to expand the organizations that are supporting wireless research as a result of this, both through the public-private partnership and through the fact that experts that look to the future recognize that federal agencies are going to be very interested in being able to test new technologies as it relates to changes in the way spectrum sharing and other rules occur. We see opportunities for academics to engage with the industry and research that's going on in the industry. And we think that those could be really valuable in moving things down the commercial readiness path. So turning to the communities, it's obviously a direct investment in your community of millions and millions of dollars. There's also the benefit of recurring investment as researchers stay in your hotels and motels and eat at your diners and all of this sorts of thing. We also can conceive of entities that are in the wireless space opting to locate or have a location in a community that's hosting one of these PAWR platforms, as it would become a critical part of making the case for their new innovation. If these points are not resonant with you, I'd really appreciate if you would come talk to me afterwards, because I'll need to revise. Before I move on, I guess one comment about what PAWR is not. in communicating, particularly with local governments about PAWR, I think there's an initial interest in PAWR as the potential investment that will create more connectivity in their community. And I think it's sort of critical to disabuse that notion. There may be, of course, downstream impact as technologies get validated and move towards commercialization, that there's new opportunities to connect your community more fully. But this is really a research network that has its strengths and limitations, and it should be sort of recognized as a feather in a community's cap, as a leader in the wireless research space, but not an immediate investment in connectivity to the community. So with that, I'll turn to my colleague, Kaushik, and he'll continue the presentation.
So thanks, Bill. So one of the things that I want to talk to you about is that it is important to engage with the community as an academic researcher early on. And this becomes an important piece of the overall assessment of the proposal. Tommaso talked earlier about some of the review criteria, and this is really one of the very important review criteria of how are you engaging with the community. Now, a few things would help to start discussions early and to build the bridges. Some of the bridges are already happening now as we speak. I'll not go into repeating each of these individual merit criteria, but it would be very, very helpful to go back again and just look at the community portion of it and how that becomes part of the proposal review process. Now, one of the things that the PPO has committed to do is to build the bridge between the academic researchers and the community partners. Now, I'll tell you why this is important. When Bill, an excellent speaker himself, and I were talking, it took us a while to get to a common language where he and I could understand each other. And we both come from our respective backgrounds and we represent our constituents. But in a way that it took time for us to work with each other to understand some of the key driving needs and principles. So what the PPO can do and has done over the last few weeks is that if you are an academic partner, and if you're wondering how best to reach out to your local community, be it a city government, be it an NGO, drop us a line, drop Bill and me a line, and we will work with you and with your partner to make those bridges. It has also happened that if you are a community representative, again, could be local government, could be an NGO, could be various other institutions, reach out to us and we will help connect you with a university or an academic partner which may be interested in one of the regions that you're proposing. So we are committed to playing that matchmaker. So please use us. Now, a few examples of the community, and this came up in some of the previous discussions and questions earlier, is that what really or where is a community based? Now, so we are reluctant to give any geographical radius as to which communities should partner together. But we do understand that there are multiple scenarios that can exist. So one scenario that can exist is that, for example, if you look at the second line, you have two communities, okay, A and B, and somewhat separated, not immediately next to each other. But there are wireless experts or the people who will be involved in the design and conceptualization. They could be part of one, either one of them. Okay, or you could have a third scenario. As you can see, there is a community while the wireless experts or for example, academics could be in a totally different community which is not participating or which is not involved in a common platform. Okay. Now we are reluctant to say that it only has to be within this geographical distance, or so islands of communities are possible. But that said, there has to be a core and committed expertise in wireless in an area in which effective design, maintenance, and operation becomes possible in that community. Okay, so remember again that these projects are going to be, a single award is going to be made, and you can, of course, have issue subcontracts to expertise, which could be geographically distributed. But that said, you still have a core expertise in the community or around in an accessible way to the community that you're trying to partner with. So that is important. Now, whatever you pick, however you shape your communities or your islands, it all has to be justified well in the proposal. Okay, so it's perfectly fine to have two communities or separated communities, but how you plan to work with them is really important. Now, some examples of support that a community can provide. So, for example, making sites available for base station installations, or sometimes when you have different groups of people spread around in a geographical area, if there is a space resource that is made available for these various teams, these partners to come together and work together. So that's a sort of a maker space that you can provide. You could accelerate licenses and site permits for the platforms to be actually built. Now, there's a lot of value in making available data that a community may already have, and that data can drive some of the design decisions. So that is also really a good resource for academics to use what the community can provide. Any other engineering support or other equipments that the community may be able to provide. What you can't provide, and this has been covered earlier, so I'll just briefly skim through this, is as a external community, you cannot contribute raw dollars or pay salaries for the academic team as part of a joint platform. So these are some things to be careful about cost sharing, and these has been covered earlier again. So if you have any questions, we'll be happy to again go through this. One of the important things that was brought out earlier was the concept of privacy and IRB. Now, one thing to note here is that the way we envision this is each platform will get a blanket IRB, or will file for and get a blanket IRB, and that IRB will then also be applied to the other components or the teams which are participating in that platform. So this just means that some of this process may be established in some of the institutions, and some other institutions you may need to just start this discussion early. But also, while you're doing this, an interesting outcome may happen is that you can come up with new privacy and security policies, which are very exciting to us, because something like this would drive some of the future IRB rules and privacy as well. So one thing that the community can really do here is facilitate this a user base. Now, users are, of course, when you facilitate the user base, I mean also provide mechanisms, if there is data being collected, ensure that privacy and other issues are also addressed. Because at the end, research should not come at the expense of an intrusion to user privacy. So this is something which is as important in a design decision as you would do, which is important in the overall research plan. So safeguarding some of these basic measures is important. Finally, again, we are going to maintain a list of interested academic partners, interested community partners. We are eager to make bridges and help connect. So let us know. We are an enthusiastic team of folks here, and just wave us out or send us an email. We'll be happy to take on. So thanks again, and I'll lead on to a technical discussion.